Thanks for staying with us. So we all recall the criticism that followed Pastor Siju Iluyomade's wife's, Siju Iluyomade's wife's, Pastor Idowu's wife. She had this very lavish 60th birthday, and it was very well talked about. It happened less than a week after the death of a prominent member of the church, late Herbert Wigwe. And we heard that she's been suspended, the couple has been suspended, and while some think it was an unnecessary action, others feel like it was a fantastic move. I also read in the story broke out that they moved them to the Ebute Meta church, and somebody else is taking over from the church. Official reasons being that they have been in church they've been leading that church for over 8 years. Unofficial reason being that it's linked to the lavish party that they threw a few days after Herbert Wigwe's sad demise. So here we're talking about it. Is this a fit punishment? Is it a punishment? What's your opinion about this? You can give your thoughts to us by calling us on 0810-764-1679. Please just munch the picture of the number and try, because people keep telling me that they can't reach us on the show. We've discussed this when it just happened, when it was hot. We discussed it, and the opinion was that a lot of people were against the party. People felt like it should have been moved or something, and people felt the church should say something, apology should have been issued, and there were speculations that they would be removed as pastors of the church. And people kept waiting that when would it happen. They said the man is too strong, they cannot remove him, he's not strong enough, they are consulting, and suddenly the news has broken. It's official. They've now been taken out of being the church. They didn't worship there last Sunday. YK, I know you have opinion on this.
I hate that you have come to me first, because when I saw it, the party, and I know their main benefactor had just died.
What do you mean by main benefactor, YK?
From what we were reading, is it not what we already signed the paper now? That he gave them 500 million. You say 500 million, be 500 billion. I don't know. Helipad, everything. The church was to be in that church, you are a high flyer. Ordinary people like me and you can't go there. It's them people. But this was the guy making it possible. And he just died. If it had been me, I would have had my party, because they're not my personal friends.
Nobody's bankrolling you.
Then he's not bankrolling me. So, but if it's somebody that I feel I owe that kind of mourning, I would have deferred my party.
Yeah.
I would have. And even if I had gone ahead, it would have been so small, it would not have gotten the attention of the press and social media people, because that's what happened. They didn't show empathy. And so everybody just turned against them. For me, I think if they've suspended them, it's befitting. They too should take the suspension like men and women. Man and woman, take it, pay penance for that bad judgment. I feel it was, but that's my own personal opinion.
Of course, for me too, when I first heard the story and given all that was out in the media, it just seemed that these were people who had no empathy for a close friend, the way that it was described, a very personal, almost like they had a personal relationship, someone who has given so much to the church, someone that they knew closely, you know. And it was not just the man that had passed, the man and the woman, you know, the man and his wife and his child had passed. So they had also left a couple of children behind. I felt that the church should have been in the lead in showing empathy and showing concern for this particular family at that time. It was such a, we remember how it hit us. You know, there's a passing of one man and there's a passing of a man, his wife and child, you know, and then to just at the back of that, throw such a huge party. It did not come across as a good thing at all. It made them look bad. Now, concerning whether they were suspended or not because of it, I don't know. This was a church that was going to throw a party. The management of the church, were they not aware that this party was going to be carried out? Are they the only ones being suspended now? So for me, what I would have preferred was at the time an acknowledgement of realizing I've done something wrong and we apologize, than dragging it to the point of suspension So my own is, were they just suspended for this party, or have there been other behaviors that have been, because there are so many stories out there in the media. You know, sometimes when they say when it rains, it pours, right? So there's so many stories. So is this suspension just because of that party, or have there been other things, you know, underground, and then finally, an investigation made that open? But for me, what would have been more appropriate for that behavior would have been an apology. We didn't realize. Sometimes you are so close to something, you don't realize how it looks to outsiders. You would have just said, and we apologize, and then we would see them more involved in the funeral or mourning period, you know. That's what I would have.
They didn't allow them.
Because they were upset, but they were upset because the attitude didn't even show any remorse, you know. They were trying to...
There might be a private one, but...
Well, we don't know, but what we heard was them insisting, the sort of information we got is, we had planned this party long before. We had, there was no official or public response to show that, we're sorry for how it comes across. That was not what we meant to do. So I guess that's why they were asked not to come to the funeral.
I get how it looks, though. I really get how it looks. But Amaka, what was your own first thought when this news broke out? And did you think it was appropriate to have the party and then the backlash that came after?
Okay, so let me first of all start with still saying that my sympathies still goes out to the family of the Wigwe, Herbert Wigwe. Yes, and then, most times I just feel that people judge people, we're quick to judge people, especially when we don't know them. Because if you know somebody closely or to an extent, you're able to extend grace. Like if they say, YK did something, you can say, YK did that thing, but that's not like YK. YK could not have done this. Maybe you can make excuse and extend grace to YK because you know YK. But if you don't know YK, you're harsh, and you make judgment. And I think that's what has happened here with the public. Because for starters, this party was planned since last year. Because I attended the party, I even won Ashebi for the party, and this Ashebis were given since last year. And the party was even moved twice for various reasons, right? And her birthday had happened since. So it's not like, so for them to have done that party at that point in time, you should know that the party was moved due to certain things that were happening within the church or something that had occurred within the church. And then I think that when something also happens, we should also pick out, when judging somebody, we should also pick out the good parts in what the person, or what that particular thing had done. They did that for that particular party, the amount of outreach that they did to the poor, the less privileged, the Arise outreach that they did was so huge that nobody is even talking about it. Nobody's even talking about it. It was like 50 times bigger than the party. The party was just done in Eco Hotel Hall. The outreach was massive. So let's also extend grace to people, right? And stuff. So it's easy for us to say they did not extend, they were not empathetic. Fine, they were not empathetic the way people expect them to be empathetic publicly. But we also don't know what's going on within closed doors. And then lastly, what I want to say is that there's so much inference, right? And I like the fact that the RCCG, they use the word allegations. So as a lawyer, I can't even talk on allegations or inferences that have not been spelled out to me. So when they spell out the allegations, then we can now debate on it and not just make assumptions to damage people's character. So, but for a church and RCCG that they continue to move pastors around, if they move them around, then that's okay, that's fair for them to also go to another church. It's not like they said, they blacklisted them and said, you can't be pastors. They moved them to another church. And the church is saying that they've been in one particular parish for 8 years and it's time to move them. So that's it. I wish them all the best.
You see, I hate to also sit on judgment, but we need to always discuss things as they look. So from the face value, it looked like there was a sort of, there was a sensitivity in how the situation was managed. I'm one for apology. I totally believe human beings are error-laden. As long as you are human, you will make mistakes, you would goof, you will do things that you know you should not be doing. So it's important that when we do that, no matter who you are, no matter how high-ranking you are, even if you're a pastor, you're a GO, you can come back and say, I could have done this better. It is very humane. It makes you connect more. You would win more souls by doing that than anything you do in private, because anything, we saw the party publicly, we should see the remorse as well publicly. That's what I feel. Now, I didn't know they had shifted the party a few times. I did not even know that
There was an outreach.
I knew about the outreach, but they always do outreach. These particular, Pastor Siju is big on giving to the needy. The Arise program is annual, and I think they even do quarterly, and it's always very big. They wear pink, they give a lot of things. So I know that they are big on charity, but sometimes when you are a very big person like that, anything you do, if you imagine a giant falling down, it will make a huge impact than if an ant just trips down. For nobody will even know the ant was standing in the first place. So,
apart from being a giant or an ant, also there's something about being in close proximity with someone, having a relationship with someone, or using the word that's been thrown around for someone to be your benefactor. It must have meant something for the family to say you're not invited to be part of this process.
yeah. Yes.
So yes, it's good to hear other sides. Yes, they may have done all this, but the family still felt
Offended.
They still felt offended.
Okay, do you feel the apology should be done to the family publicly or privately?
It doesn't. Well, I hope they did it somehow, whether publicly or privately. But let me just finish. I was just saying that it's good to talk about different sides to people. Yes, there's something outside. It's about when they Goma. We're not completely perfect. We make mistakes. But there's something about when you make mistakes, you're able to acknowledge it. If you can't self-acknowledge, somebody can point it out to you. At that point, be humble and then show remorse and apologize for it. Do you understand? And so for the family to insist that they didn't want them to be part of that procedure, it comes across to me that they didn't feel that the pastors took accountability for the part that they played in, how that party occurred. I can see how any human being can make the mistake of not thinking that what you're doing, how it affects someone. We can't always tell how everything will affect one person. Someone somehow will be offended, no matter your intention. But when someone has pointed it out to you, let us see that apology. Now, they could have done it privately, which is good, but because it was such a public display of whatever they did, and they're such public figures, everyone publicly involved, maybe another public apology could have worked as well.
We have a caller. Smart has called in from Iyanoworo. Welcome to the show, Smart. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I just want to chip in a little bit for what happened to Herbert Wigwe and his family. Just like other person has spoken in the program, we are not judging the pastor for what happened with his wife. The wedding was planned. Yes, I understood that. But if you have ever lost anybody in your family, you know what it means about death. Death is better than life. When a man is gone forever, I'm just talking about a man that died, his wife, his son, and himself. That's three persons. In just one day, it was a big blow. Let's forget about the position he held in the church or what he was contributing in the church. Let me give you, for example, in a parish where I live, so one of us died. They had a program that was going on. They called it, we had a different ethnic group. This week, the Yoruba will celebrate. Next week, the Igbo will do it. When we landed, one of the members died. The pastor has to call the church and say, because of what happened to our brother, please, can we move this thing forward? Even though everything was done, money for food was paid, arrangements were made, programs were printed and everything. But just because he was a member, it should be right. The wife and the children and the family are mourning. Then we are celebrating. So it isn't right. So what I'm trying to say is that no matter the preparation, they should have just waited and tell the congregation, due to our brother who died, his wife and his son, please, with the Lord we have for my wife, we can just send this thing either a week later after the burial. Then the populace or the congregation will understand. Then during the process of marking the birthday, you now say, please, a minute silence again for this family to show how dearly human life means not about party. It's not okay, if you did not celebrate birthday, so what will happen? And moving him to the headquarters in the way we are talking about here, it's not like they are punishing him. Normally, pastors are being rotated. Pastor Idowu took this decision very late to have removed him. What I'm saying is that if a member, what does it take to be a member? A member means somebody who is committed. It's known by the pastor, it's known by the other members of the church, and it has a role that is playing. And whatever pays the choir persons in the church. And that, okay, so if the pastor himself died in a plane crash, let's say him and his wife, and a member of that church was having birthday, would that birthday?
Oh, so sorry.
That was the point I was making.
We're making a very valid point. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue.
I have some
with the
questions.
conversation.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.